Skales, Milli, and Runtown, they've had issues with their record labels in the space of 1 week.
Yeah.
And over the years, we've seen this play out over and over again.
Yeah.
Eva, Burna Boy, even Wizkid, they've had issues with their record label in terms of the record contract they signed.
Yeah.
Why can't Nigerian artists just stick to their record contract? Why can't they honor it? But they always bicker and nag about the record contract they signed.
I think there's a bigger perspective to it. It's not just the artists that are at fault here. There are two parties involved, and we must look at both parties' point of views. Okay. So you have the labels who have provided the contract for the artist to sign. Okay, yes. And they go into this deal, and at the point in time, somebody defaults, or we hear that someone is leaving. Now we don't know the real reasons why they're leaving. What we know is that people walk away from their contracts. Obviously, the artist is said to have been walking away from these are contracts. You understand? But let's go into the details. Yeah. Is it always the artist that is at fault? Has the label also defaulted on some of the things they promised? Hey,
maybe,
that's an angle. I'm just saying an angle.
If
so
the contract doesn't
the scenario plays that one person is leaving the agreement, yes. Right? But the scenario never goes into the details to find out why that person left the deal.
Yes.
Now, this is not to say, which is very important, this is not to say that people should walk away from their contracts, because you sign a contract, you have to.
It's a legal document.
It's a legal document. You abide, to the rules and to the rules of engagement. The most important thing to get here is that you do not earn what you deserve. You earn what you negotiate. So if you go into, a contract, right, or an agreement with someone, and you sign a contract, you have to fulfill everything that contract stipulates.
Okay, but what about the case of the record label is not funding the career of that artist, and the artist feels, hey, I can walk away? Is it right?
So most of the times, what has happened, and it boils down to what we've always been talking about before, that there's no structure. There's no structure, and the structure, the music structure, even before we started signing 360 deals, the music structure does not make it possible for record labels to make money. Okay, so when a record label, right, which is also very structureless. We don't have strong record labels. We've gone on and on, this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a group of guys who say they have a record label. They sign an artist and they say, you know what, we're going to put money down and we want you to give us an album. Take, for example, we're going to sign you for 3 years. We want you to give us 2 albums. Okay, so what used to happen was the label will sign the artist and we'll start providing money for photo shoot, money for recording, studio sessions, promo, and all that. The guy drops the album, does well, starts making money from shows. The labels that don't sign 360 deals aren't entitled to those show money. They should make money off what? Record sales. The problem is now what?
No money off record sales.
There's no money off record sales. So you end up having an artist that has more money than the label if the label is not making money. Then when the label or the artist now wants to start second round of promotion for a new album or more photo shoots, he starts asking the label for money. He's been making money on the side, okay? But he starts asking the label for money because he's the label. Yeah. The label now says, you know what, you've been making so much money, why don't you fund this thing yourself? We don't have money. Then the artist now wants to walk away from his contract because the label is not fulfilling their deals. Do you understand? The whole problem here is that people or Nigerian artists are irrational in their behavior. Okay. Most Nigerian artists are irrational in their behavior. If you understand that your record label is no more fulfilling the terms and agreements in the contract, what should you do? Get a lawyer and try to see how you can now break down this contract and walk away from it legally.
Okay. It's good as you said, Nigerian artists are irrational. Let's look at Skales and Runtown.
Yeah.
They both side contracts that people are saying are very outrageous.
Yeah.
Is it desperation or ignorance that make Nigerian artists just go and sign these slave contracts?
Yeah, but the average Nigerian artist is an ignorant person now because all he knows is that he wants to blow. Okay? So I've been hustling for years. I've been hustling for 4, 5, 6 years as an independent art, be scraping money here and there, family support me, all that. Then you have someone who says, one big boss from nowhere, whose record label is just a Twitter account, now says, hey, I want to sign you because I have money. You go to his house, he probably has a mansion with a few cars, and he says he's going to give you a new SUV and get you a house in Lekki. Yeah. That's all that they see. The money flashing in their eyes because they've suffered too much. They just want to tell everybody, hey, you know what, I'm making it. But they don't look at the long-term plans. The average Nigerian artist doesn't even have legal representation. So when they are even signing these contracts, they don't know what they're signing.
Why don't they have entertainment lawyers? We have entertainment lawyers in this country.
Can they afford entertainment lawyers? These artists, how much are they making? And again, they are ignorant to the fact that they actually need legal representation to actually look through the contract, understand the terms of agreement and sign. All they want is, Baba, I want to blow. So in the case of Skales now, right? He had a manager. I don't know if they had legal representation or not, but I know Osagie Alonge, and she's done well discovering Wizkid and Skales, and is managing Record Banks now. She's a fantastic talent manager, right? But there is supposedly a clause in the contract that says if they want to walk out of that contract, there's a £10 million clause.
That's outrageous.
That is crazy. It means that anything that happens, I mean, in the contract, the contract is not made available to us, but in the contract, when you go to the section of breach of contract or agreement or whatever, what are the terms and conditions stipulated there? Apparently, Skales manager says the label has not been fulfilling their contract.
Yeah. The
terms and agreement in their contract. They've not provided money for photo shoots for some time, and they've been funding all that by themselves. So if they've made money in that period, they've been trying to get the money to what? To recoup their money back, and that has turned into the
But it's not
problem.
stated in the contract.
We don't even know what the contract is, okay? So this case of, a label, and I don't understand, a label just hires, police, they pick somebody up. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Send someone a letter and tell the person that, okay, if you are taking me to court, I'm taking you to court. But you can't just arrest somebody and take the person to police station. It's
fraud.
Do you understand? It's very wrong. So if Baseline Records had an issue with Osagie and Skales, they should have just served them a letter, right? Take it to court, do it the proper way, go through, legal representation with their lawyers and sort it out.
Okay. In the case that some artists can't afford entertainment lawyers, what about their managers? The managers should be like a counsel to them. Like, look, this.
But the managers are just like, who are the people you are calling managers? The people that carry towel for them at the hotel.
Not all managers.
But how many? But those ones that are doing well, and we know the managers that are doing well, they don't have issues like this. But you can't just call your friend your manager because he's your booking agent. He becomes your manager. He carries towel for you. He picks up your phone call and books your shows. That's not your manager. That's not a business manager. Do you understand? You need a talent manager, a road manager, and a business manager. Now, one person can handle all three, but the person needs to have enough knowledge to be able to handle decisions. So if you had a manager and you wanted to sign to a label, the manager is there to say, you know what, let's go and get a lawyer. If it's going to cost us $100K to get this lawyer, let's get this lawyer. Because we don't want to go into a situation where there are some Nigerian artists that don't own their name. I won't want to name names. They don't own their names.
Ridiculous
their labels own their names. It happened to Prince. It happened to Soli. Soli versus Colossal Entertainment when he started acting strange after he dropped his first album. Colossal Entertainment filed a lawsuit and he couldn't use the name Soli Baba for a while. So what are we talking about here? We have a bunch of ignorant, talented young people who should understand that they are going into business. It's not about music. Music is about fun and producing and all that, but they call it music business for a reason. You have the music, you also have to have the business.
Okay. Nigerian artists are singing the same tune. Like, oh, these record labels don't further our careers. Do you think we need some sort of legislation or structure to say, hey, before you can set up a record label, you need this amount of money? Do you think it's necessary for us in the music industry the way we are doing right now? I
mean, that's good, but most importantly is, even if you have the money, are you going to invest in that talent? There are a lot of labels, I hate calling them labels because they're not labels, but let's say, there are a lot of labels that say they have money. They sign these artists, we know they have money, but they don't. The CEO is not happy or is not in the mood, so he's not going to fund the artist's career. It happens, we've seen it.
That's the
so he still has
business.
The money. So it's not even about registering the company and saying you must have X money. If they even have that money, what is the guarantee that they will actually pump that money into the artist's career? Especially when the artist is, he has not hit a mark yet.
Yes, hasn't blown.
Yes, let's say use the word blown. You understand? That is the major problem here. So if the guy is happy, he funds the career. If he's not happy, because there's no structure, because it's not a label, because it's a one-man business. So it's anywhere belle-faced.
So how can we stop this? Because we all know that by the end of this year, we're going to see at least 4 or 5 more Nigerian artists doing the same thing, crying over the same thing. So how can we stop this? Because at the end of the day, for us to have a music industry, the bedrock is a music label, and the bedrock is also artists, and they have to work together. So how can we stop this trend from happening over and over again?
We need a structure. We need infrastructure in the music industry.
But that's what we keep saying every time.
Yes, then that is the major question, and that is what we should be tackling. So maybe more people should go into investing their time and energy and their money into into a way where we can actually have a stable business here. International labels can still come into this country. Sony came to pick the video. Why didn't they come into the country? Because they've seen it's an impossible thing. Government doesn't support us. Nothing is working. Do you understand? So it is a case of go and get your funding, go and get your investor. Because if you are signing any deals about you making money and recouping the money, even 360 deals, all these problems are always going to happen. Nobody can hold the record labels responsible enough to say, okay, you guys drop so amount, okay, drop this amount. What if they say they don't want to drop it? Is the artist going to sue the label? No. What does the artist do? Walks away from the contract. Then the label goes after the artist and sues the artist or says, you know what, I'm putting you in jail because you are leaving your contract. Most important thing, don't sign a contract that you have not read and you do not understand. That is the most important thing. Get legal representation. A lawyer or a group of lawyers that you know have to be on your side. If you don't have the money, go and work at Mr. Biggs until you save that money. If not, don't do it.
In the case of Wizkid, what went wrong with him leaving EME?
His contract was up. And he thought...
After they renegotiated.
Of course, but then his contract finished, right?
Yeah.
And he left the label.
But before then, he was crying.
Because he grew bigger than the label. EM is a fantastic label. Shout out to Banky, who is one of the best A&Rs in this country we've ever seen, and even an artist who's evolved from just being an artist to understanding music, right? But the kid literally grew bigger than the label and wanted to move on, which is fine.
Okay, Burna Boy, aristocrat.
His contract also finished up. Do you understand? But you know, there's always that friction. There's always a friction when, you know, it's the end of my contract. Do I renew or don't I renew? But of course, the guys want to renew with Burna, because here's the case in Burna's situation. He was just popping off as the contract was about to expire. Yeah. So has the label made money? Or have they made a lot of money, or have they recouped that money? Not yet. So, you know, tension and friction. Hey, why don't you come and sign? But he opted not to sign.
But that sounds like a very short-term contract, because normally I know international standard, maybe 4 or 5 years and release 2 albums, 3 albums. Then if you do good on your first album, they have to restructure the deal to favor you. How come in Nigeria we just see 2-year deals, 3-year deals, and everybody goes?
Because it's not a very wise move. If I own the label, I won't sign in Nigeria. I won't sign an artist for 2 years, because I'm not sure I can recoup that money in 2 years' time. Okay, it doesn't make sense.
Milli and Chocolate City.
So creative differences, obviously. Milli says he doesn't want, you know, in his five-page letter, open letter. Obviously, he said he doesn't want, he had creative differences with the label and he wanted to move on, and he felt the label wasn't supporting him the right way. But we've not seen any back and forth or any tussle, because, you know,
I think that's an example of a clean way we should.
Do you understand? So if he signed to a label, he probably got legal representation. Chalk City probably brought their lawyers and they talked about it. If he needs to pay money back for all the money he spent, he can pay the money back. It depends on the contract. So if he signed a contract that said, you know what, if you want to leave the label at any time, you can just bring back the money we spent on you, and they probably done something like that. That's why they are not fighting. Okay. That's a matured way for people to part ways.
Okay, back to Chocolate City. Let's speak about an artist whose contract wasn't up but decided to walk away from it. Brimo, Chocolate City.
So the same thing. Brimo says the label wasn't investing in him or pushing him the way he had wanted it to be, right? He's trying to say he's walking away from his contract because the label hasn't fulfilled their obligations, right? And they took it to court, and it's still in court. Hey, that is another way for you to say, you know what, I'm not happy with the label because they promised me XYZ and they've not been able to deliver. The label says, no, you are still part of this label and we have delivered. You take it to court, both lawyers talk it out, whatever the deal is. We've seen these things happen so many times now. Rita is suing Rock Nation. They are going to take it to court. Nobody's arresting anybody from anywhere.
No crazy headlines. Okay, Vector YSG.
In the case of Vector YSG, Vector says the label also could not perform up to what the standard he expected them to do, and the label wasn't structured enough. You can see, and the label says you are still signed to us. In fact, you just signed a new contract and you still have 5 years with us. You can't go anywhere. And they go back and forth. He should have probably gotten his lawyers to write them, and they take it to court. But it grew out of hand. People got arrested, and today, you know, they've split and gone. Now nobody wins. That's the problem. That's the problem. Nobody wins. So before a label signs an artist, you guys should look at it. Do your visibility studies. Is this artist profitable enough? No. Am I going to make money after some years? Can I renegotiate a contract with the person? Do you understand? Don't get excited because the guy is talented and you have a couple of millions in your account.
The artist should also
also do the same thing. Look at the label and, you know, vet the label.
Will they invest in me?
Can they invest in me? Am I talented enough to even, you know, give them returns? If you're not, don't sign to anybody.
Now, entertainment lawyer Akinyemi Law said that it was a wrong move for UKEsh to leave YBN owned by Olamide. What are your thoughts on this?
Akinyemi Law, shout out to Akinyemi Law. He's saying that, you know, Lil Kes leaving Olamide sets a bad precedence for every other artist wanting to leave their label after the time. But he's forgotten that it is legal for what Lil Kes did.
Yes.
He has finished his contract with Olamide. He has the right to sign or to move on.
Yes.
Now, his decision is his decision. Is it a good decision or bad decision? Only time will tell.
Time will tell.
Okay? Because he can stay with Olamide and still do well and leave Olamide and not do as much. Or, you know, the scenario can play the opposite way. So it depends. But you can't stop an artist from leaving a label after his contract with the label is expired.
So what do you advise upcoming artists who are about to sign a record deal?
Very simple. Before you put pen to paper, right? Understand what you are signing. If you can't understand, because it's written in a language you can't understand, right?
Legal terms.
Get legal representation. Get a lawyer. If you can't afford a lawyer, go and get the money to afford a lawyer, because you don't want to sign something that you don't understand. You don't want to be imprisoned in a contract that you nobody explained to you verbally. Do you understand? That is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, ignorance is no excuse. Facts.